Okay, thank you, Dr. Kathia, for the framing presentation. I think you raised very important questions on. You raised very important questions. I think that we're going to explore the answers through a very special conversation. So I think as to start off our conversation, as I said, we will have a bit of interjection from the panelists. So I want to introduce my panelists. I have a mix of very interesting combination of panelists. I want to invite each one of them one by one. I will start with Mr. Solomon, who is a senior advisor in the Ministry of Irrigation and Lowlands. Please take the floor. Then followed by Dr. Linda Ogola, who is a colleague who works with ICPAC based in Nairobi. And then I call upon Dr. Hussein Wario, who is a researcher based in Northern Kenya, director at the Center for Research and Development in Drylands. And of course, next is Dr. Wamalwa, my colleague, who is a livestock health expert at IGAD Center for Pastoral Areas and Livestock Development. And I should be guided whether my mic has to move around, right? I hope so. Yeah, so I'll give each of my important, whether we could refresh some of the framing question. So I'll give you a minute interjection, then we'll go into the panel conversation. I want you to please join us and follow the conversation. You'll get an opportunity to ask the question at the end of this session. Thank you. Karibu, Mr. Solomon.
Am I introducing myself? Okay, can you hear me? I am Solomon from Ministry of Irrigation and Lowlands of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia. And pastoralist communities across the Horn of Africa, across East Africa and IGAD region become resilient in the face of climate change and this increasing number of shocks. And I would be interested in, providing new thoughts and ideas rather than repeating things that have.
Yes, the framing was pretty interesting, and I'm looking forward to the conversation as well.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Hussein Wario, the Executive Director for Center for Research and Development in Drylands. We'll talk about our different topics, but on the framing, it's good. It captures the different aspects, things that face the drylands. But what I felt is that there's need to capture, the opportunities that are in there. There are a lot of challenges that are there, and that is where we're going to speak from. Despite all those challenges that we see, people still live and they still have some form of livelihoods. They still thrive, actually, in a way. So that element of the opportunity.
Okay. Good evening, colleagues. My name is Marlo Kinyanjui. I work with the IGAD Center for Pastoral Areas and Livestock Development as an animal health officer. Of course, whatever has presented here, the effect of climate change is real. And the frequency has even increased and even aridity increasing. So this one actually requires a paradigm shift in managing this as a region instead of as an individual country. And the conversation that we are going to have is really going to be of good value to all of us. Thank you so much.
Good. Thank you. My name is Sintayo Alamayo. I work for CIAT. It's one of the CGR center. I'm a climate change adaptation scientist. I work around dryland and climate nexus. So pretty much when we say dryland, it's really looking around the livestock more in general, also livestock farming system. So yeah, as the panel actually indicated, when people talk about drought, IGAD region is to be the first region to be really coming on the front. So what has committee within this data through and provide my input? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, my fellow panelists. And yeah, I think I'll go straight into. I think in the face of climate change, I happen to come from one of the pastoralist community. And in the face of climate change, we happen to see new diseases. We happen to see diseases that we have never seen before within the livestock keeping communities. Are you seeing these emerging diseases as linked to climate, and what aspect of it?
Thank you very much, Dr. Kuyo, for asking that very key question. Actually, climate change, climate variability has brought a lot of shift in the disease pattern in the region. Because looking around is that because of the increased frequency of drought, floods, as well as even heat waves, they have actually attributed to emergence of some of the diseases. Like, for example, look at a disease like Rift Valley fever. It used to occur in 30 years, but now it is almost yearly. Why? It was associated with heavy floods. But now even the epidemiology of the disease is happening. Without even much floods, you can still get it. Look at even other diseases like heavy floods. But now even the look at even other diseases like PPR, pestis hepatitis ruminants. And the spread has also really such that now they are going to move around looking for pasture as well as water. And as the animals move, they interface with wildlife, humans, as well as among themselves. And this one actually increases the spread of diseases. Look at even animal pests, like, for example, trypanosomiasis. It is even also encroaching into new climate change. So climate change is a real thing. The heat waves, animals, it reduces the productivity by about 10%. If an animal was giving, say, 10 liters of milk, it will give 9 liters or 8 liters. And this one is associated to that. Like the 2016-2017 drought, even some people are being displaced from their homes simply because of this severe. So as productivity reduces, it lowers also the immunity of animals, such that animals are very vulnerable. Look at the drought of 2020, 2022. So many animals died, and a number of diseases also emerged. Like now we are talking of humans and animals, and most of them are associated to mass movements that is brought about by effects of climate change. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I think I'll come back to you. You raised a very interesting issue in your response, but I'll come back to you. Now, I think I'll shift gears slowly towards, I think you can pass the mic to Dr. Linda. I think in the face of climate change, there are different systems created, different products created around early warning. But I think somehow we are unable to prepare ourselves better, we are unable to prepare communities better to face the shock. Just in a quick way, tell us, where are we missing? What are we missing between what you produce in ICPAC as a seasonal focus and what people require on the ground to prepare themselves and to respond to shock?
So I think the session that we had earlier was launching the regional framework for climate services, where we are defining how we produce climate services and how this then interchanges with the different sectors. Now, the national governments, on the other hand, some of them already have a national framework for climate services. So this again then defines how this information goes from the region to the national and to the subnational level. So Kenya's done that, Uganda's just launched theirs, Ethiopia has one, Tanzania. And so what to bring together communities, because we understand that for a lot of local communities don't have a lot of faith in the climate science and are still relying on indigenous knowledge. And in some areas, because of climate change, a lot of the signals and the indicators that they use to determine the forecast are also disappearing. So what we're trying to do is, can we bring together the climate scientists and the indigenous focus and the communities and create a foreigner system where they can discuss and agree what should they expect in the coming season. So we've piloted that in a number of places, but we know it's still a gap, because sometimes it's not just that the science is absent, but there's a lot of cultural issues that keep people from even using the information. So those things need to be taken into consideration. How can we break the social norms? And then there's some that are beyond even what science can do. Because if we're seeing compounding issues coming on with climate change, we have COVID, we have political issues, and if you come to someone and give them information and they've used all of their resources and they have nothing we can do. So there's a lot of things that we can do from the side.
Of co-production within pastoral areas where you have produced knowledge, you pull knowledge together, integrated knowledge together, and then produce a product that actually are used by people that help them prepare for the shock, whether it's flood, drought, if you have, please.
So with the PSPs that I talked about, we've even done them in cross-border areas, and I'm glad there's so many Idrisi people in the room. And Dominic has been part of those discussions and can attest, where you bring communities together, you co-create the knowledge. That's why I said you bring the indigenous focusters, you bring in the scientists, and in a lot of ways they lend each other credibility. So you have a certain age group that will, or certain people that will only listen to the scientists. You have a certain people that will only listen to the indigenous focusters. So when you bring them together in a room and they lend each other credibility and co-generate advisories, then they can better prepare. And part of it is what we're now moving from just giving people early warning to giving anticipatory action. And I'm glad George is in the room. And co-generate advisories, then they can better prepare. And to giving anticipatory action, and I'm glad George is in the room, and just to advertise for our event. So we're trying to see how can we move more. We have come together as different IGAD institutions, ICPAC, ICPALD, with support from Idrisi, and we've gone down to the communities in the cross-border areas. We've co-generated advisories, and the pastoralists have been able to act before the disaster happened.
I was in the field in southern Ethiopia doing the real co-production with the pastoralists on water and range observation. You are part of. Take your lesson from that micro few water points to a landscape level without conceptualizing in isolation.